I didn't hit record. Why don't I ever hit record? So I just did a 10-minute introduction that probably will just come up another time. But there was a nice story about writing the dragon books out. Maybe that should go in a Yoda Balls class. It will be the Auror books or the Auror pages. So I'll make a section of Auror books classes. Great. Endless. But what we were talking about is how good I look and how solid and healthy as everything's getting from the bottom of hell. So like the clippeth is closing out, and I'm not getting stabbed every day. So that's really nice. There are sometimes like pocket dimensions will open up and stuff like happens, but nothing like it was. And we're just starting the beginning of like sealing everything up. So there's like a lot of positivity moving forward in producing this planet ascension. All right. I was also saying any of the Slytherin stuff is like all gone. It's all just like, yeah. I also began an Auror cook, so that kind of throws it off a little bit, but not. I don't know if the Gryffindors will be in Auror cooks. Probably. I can't imagine them not, but like, it's different being the leader and like where Kelly and I have to like get together and just go real fast up the tree. It's different doing that than like what everybody else is going to end up doing. Because we have to do it real fast and get the houses and the planet and the dragon set up, and like everybody else can like meander their way up, you know. So we have to like get up like 5 years ahead. So it's bad, but like 1 year, like that. Let's begin. So it's now mid-March. So the last time we did this was like about a month ago. This is why I forget to hit record. Now I'm going to pause it and then come back. So I went to drink my water and it was just pure salt water. So I had to spit that out. So normally I put in a little bit of salt at the bottom in a pitcher, and then I squeeze the lemon juice, and then it's like, detox water. It feels nice and refreshing. But there's too much salt in it, and it's just toxic. Okay, so let's begin. So we've done Asaya, Aya, O, and we did O, uh-oh, and then Oko, and then Peedle. I'm going to try to get the next set all in one video. That's Yetzirah. So we're going to do the one on top of us. Briah Absolute. But then there are 2 more. So maybe we're going to do just 2 videos. That seems more honest. Okay. Okay. So otherwise it's going to be 5 trees. All right. And close your eyes. Now you're going to imagine your higher self standing on the shoulders of your current body. And then the feet are at your throat. This is why Uranus is the planet for Dot. A lot of people will look at Uranus like, why is Uranus the planet for Dot? Because it doesn't make any sense, but it does. Because Dot and Malkuth are the same, and it's Uranus. It's like, so it's the shit that's from your higher self is coming through your throat. So this is going to be Malkuth, and then you have Yesod that's going to be above, and then you have the right hip and left hip. This one is reversed because Asaya is the normal. So we're going to go and do that. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to fill in the spheres again, and then we're going to draw in the chords and the paths. So our self is just standing the normal way, looking forward. So at the feet, citrine, olive, russet black, but the black is speckled with gold. So I'm going to do it layer with the olive. So yetzirah is supposed to be the creative world. So if this is our Asaya world, and yetzirah is our creative world, it's like that next layer of the higher self is the one that is trying to create the future. But it needs to come through our physical. I want to say our physical is more like Aya. This is like our physical in action. So that one's. And layer the citrine on top of that. Okay. At Yesod, at the Hara or sacral chakra. Very, very dark purple. We call it very, very dark purple for a reason. There's a special code in that. Make sure it's at the back of his or her. You can see I'm getting general neutral now. Back of his or her. Okay, so we're going to be flipping the tree around. So the nutsock's at the space of hoed normally and reverse. All right, so at the front right hip and the back left hip. It's like Granny Smith apple green. Front of the right, back of the left. And then the back of the right and the front of the left. Russet red. So there's just a little more reddish orange to this russet red than what is in Malkuth. We have deep salmon at the heart, above the hara. I'm sure it's in the back too. And then we have Geburah and Hesed at the shoulders. And they're going to be reversed as well. So at the front of the right and the back of the left is deep purple. That's going to be Hesed. So even if it's reversed, that's still Hesed. It's not Geburah. Geburah's at the back. Okay. So then we have at the back of the right and the front of the left, we have bright scarlet. That's like the color of this backdrop. Okay, now above that, at the front left temple, and the back of the right temple is dark brown. We'll go back and do the throat. Okay, so then we have the front right and the back of the left, blue, pearl, gray. Do you hear me? Just making sure that this is working. And at the throat, Collie Pink. So that's a pink with a hint of purple or violet in it. And then white brilliance at the crown. Now let's try to do a new trick. I don't like tricks, but we're going to try something new. So from the feet, we're going to put on the pants. We're going to go from the feet to the hips, 4 cords going up. So from the citrine, russet, black, specked with gold, and olive. We're going to be going to the russet red and the Granny Smith apple green. And we're going to be braiding those wires in. You might feel them like weaving themselves in like crochet. Trying to like reach the center of the sphere and then plugging into like a metal bar and then braiding and wrapping those wires around those metal bars and the inside of that sphere. It's kind of like neurons going into bones, stuff like that. It's to secure the connection. All right, so then we're gonna make sure the zipper is done from citrine olive, russet black speckled with gold into the sacral chakra, the very, very dark purple. So the cord from Alkuth into Yesod. Make sure it weaves its way in. All right. So we have from the heart, the deep salmon to the hips, and from the sacral to the hips too. We're gonna make an octahedron with metal braids. They're gonna plug in. Okay, so we're also going to go from the hips to the, so we went from the hips to the heart, hips to the sacral, should be braided in, and then we go from the hips to the shoulders. So the russet red goes to the bright scarlet. And the Granny Smith apple green goes into the purple, deep purple. So you might start feeling yetzirah coming through, and it makes you feel a little tipsy because you're hitting the creative world, and it feels like when you get high on pot and you're like, I just need to move the astral energy. So yetzirah feels like that a lot. You might find some demons popping out that need to get cleaned up or burned and taken away, purified. But that creative astral, that's yetzirah. So some people like to refer to yetzirah as they like to say briah is water element and yetzirah is air. Yetzirah is more dense, so it still has that water vibe flow. The only thing about yetzirah is like you've got to be the one to make it flow. So it could be like air where it's static, but once you push the energy forward, then that's the yetzirah component. So we'll push it with our body, but also with our mind. Okay, now we're going to go from shoulder to shoulder. So the bright scarlet to the deep purple, to the bright scarlet, to the deep purple, but we're going to go clockwise. That's deep purple, bright scarlet, deep purple, bright scarlet, deep purple. Now when we get these, like we still have that access to that spherical time grid. But now it's Gryffindor approved. So once we get GEBURAH set up, we're fine. It's just when we have the Netzakian energy that it gets a little messy and controversial. So with Netzach, it doesn't require healthy boundaries and it's pretty low. So we go from the heart to the shoulders. Deep salmon, bright scarlet, deep purple. And then wires in. Let me make sure that the suspenders are legit. So then from the bright scarlet and the dark brown. So then, and then from the deep purple to the blue pearl gray, so we're doing the posts on the shoulders to the temples. From GEBURAH into Bina. If you confuse briah with Bina a lot, don't be ashamed, because I do it all the time. There's a component there that's like, Bina is kind of like briah. So there's like a microcosm, macrocosm correspondence to it. But it's like not like briah. So. Making sure those braids are locked and loaded into the temples from the shoulders. And then making sure that the halo goes around a clockwise direction. It might start making you feel like your higher self is secure and locked and loaded. Like your sense of authority or mental authority is beginning to reestablish itself. Not that far yet. So let's do something clever. Let's go from the heart to the temples while we're there. Let's go from the shoulders, the temples, in the crisscross direction. Oh, but we haven't done the throat yet. So let's do this. So make sure that those go through that throat chakra. So deep purple to the dark brown through the throat chakra. Making sure that the bright scarlet goes into the blue pearl gray across the throat chakra. Okay. It doesn't really go across because it's going up the opposite ways, but it kind of has to when it goes. It's schizo. So it doesn't really hit that way because it goes opposite and then on the opposite. All right, so then we go from the heart, through the throat, to the crown. So then deep salmon to the collie pink, to the crown chakra. So we're establishing the crown chakra right now. And we're going to go from the temples to the crown chakra. That feels about good. You might feel overloaded, so we're going to throw on the grape jelly spray. Like we're going to spray on the grape jelly all over it. And get secure, and then we're going to put the honeycomb over all the spheres. And the angelite, it's like an angelite spray. On all the wires. Making sure they get stronger. Now, if you're going to be in Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw, even if you're at the top of the tree, you still have to choose one house. So, like, if you know you're going to be an Auror, you still have to choose a Griffin. You still have to train in GEBURAH versus HOUSE. If you're going into Gryffindor or the Seraphim, that's why, basically. Because even if you're an Auror, you're like still Seraphim training. If you're going into Gryffindor, it's that cerulean cobalt blue. It's a mix between cerulean and cobalt. And with a little bit of cornflower. So we call it that Griffin blue. So put that spray or the color over the honeycomb. And then if if it's Ravenclaw, it's that hot pink neon goo. So do your house on your DNA. Again, the blue is to offset the holes or the weaknesses within the Gryffindors. And the hot pink is to offset the holes. And so if I use the hot pink, it's like, it's gross because it's like more of the same old Gryffindor energy. So the hot pink is like the boundary setting for the Ravenclaws. And the Griffin blue is to offset the crazy boundary tyrant energy of Gryffindor. So that's why we have the opposite colors as our seal colors. All right. Then we're gonna go, okay, so now we have, then we're gonna put a giant aloe vera egg around that DNA structure. It's an aloe vera honeycomb egg. So we let that DNA begin to gestate and rot and integrate. Just one of these DNA segments a day is like life-changing. Okay. That's why it's hard to do more than one at a time. We're gonna do briah. Briah is easier for me because it's like, it's where most people start Kabbalah, is learning the briatic world. So it's kind of like in the brain. It's also not reversed. So when you're ready. So most people start at that level of higher self. So like when I ask what my briatic self is doing, it's like teaching and training the world Kabbalah. And when I ask like where Star's briatic self is, it's like nothing. She's off the tree. So that. Sometimes you want to ask where your higher self is, where it's hanging out. This is how I knew I'd be a world-class Kabbalah teacher. Is my first Kabbalah class that I was teaching. I was having night school where I was teaching an entire community, not community college, but like entire like college class. I was sitting on stage with a microphone, cracking jokes during a live Kabbalah class with 1,000 people in the audience. So just my first one I ever taught. So that was life. All right. So now we're going to imagine the feet of our briatic self going to come and anchor in. And stay on the shoulders. So it's gonna, it might like have to anchor into the honey and then, or into the honeycomb and then like stand. And that's okay. Let's also make sure that our Asaya self, the crown chakra, plugs into the chakras, our Tear self plugs in to the chakras, into the yesods of our yetzirah self. So it's like the space between the calves. There's a chakra system, and then the space between the thighs. There's another. So it's just little tentacles that weave in, but it's gonna help anchor and integrate and stabilize. And then it plugs in to yesod, also into the sacral. So we don't look like an astral mess at the end of the day. Where it's like, oh, where people are talking about us behind our backs. Like, your astral self is saying this, and this, and this, and this. Unless it's exactly what you want it to be saying. That's when you know you're in alignment. So your astral self might be mean, but it's exactly what you want it to be doing. Instead of it being a demon and creating drama, it's like performing with intention. You might want to be calling people an asshole or a cunt if they're like criminals, you know? Like, you might, so Jesus might, you don't have to be Jesus. Baba G ain't Jesus. So, like, you might be saying things to people in the astral planes. You don't have to come off like, we are all love and light. You can be intelligent. You can be pragmatic. You can be point of fact. Try not to be criminal. There's a little structure. So it's better to be like, so Hermes is the god of communication. And that can just be verifiable fact. And that's fine. And that might hurt. And it could all just be like, go fuck yourself. Or set a boundary. So that's acceptable also. That's not criminal. Criminal is like when you're like a poltergeist on somebody. Okay. Harassing them, telling them that you're gonna show up day after day after day after day, and then you never do. Like things like that, or you're like leading people on. Oh, that's a genome we need to definitely have turned on. Leading people on. I don't really have that on anyway. But now it's going to really grow out. Not leading people on. See, even in the pits of hell, I don't really have that. But I can open up the full wing. Yeah. So Kelly and I paired up with a technology, if you want to join the club. It's the mirror ball. So anytime I turn on a good genome like that, it triggers an auto response into her body for hers to be turned on, and it will like start setting the grid and winding it through her DNA. So even like when I turn it on, I can feel Kelly's astral body saying hi to me. And then like seeing it, that genome start to like cobra acid on in her body. So it turns on naturally. So that's kind of that's a great technology for you and your kids too, and people in your like DNA sect. So if you want to join my mirror ball, what you do is you'll accept it, and it'll be like a disco mirror necklace, and it will inside of it will say Cully Wren, and it could also just be the good like important genomes or something. So we'll have like a Gryffindor set, and then we'll have a Ravenclaw set. So like you might have 3 different mirror ball charms. So that, like, anytime somebody turns on a specific genome in Gryffindor, like all the Gryffindors have it. So that might be like very physical body oriented, or like really healthy boundary punch kind of setting. And then the Ravenclaws might be really focused on higher lights and intelligences and other things. So how to climb faster, better, smarter. It's nice to have a balance. That's what it is. Okay. And then we'll have like an ore ball. That's all. That's going to be a whole other ball game. So, let's get the briatic world going. So citrine, olive, russet, and black at the feet. So now that's going into where your throat chakra is of your higher self, or your yetzirah self. Citrine, olive, russet, and black. Now, at the sacral, it's violet. And that starts to really purify stuff. Healthy. It's a nice, healthy yesod. At the right hip, it's at the front, it's orange. The back, it's orange. At the back of the left, it's orange. At the front of the left, it's emerald. It's like emerald Kelly green, but emerald. And then at the back of the right hip, it's emerald. And then at the heart, it's golden yellow. At the front right shoulder, it's scarlet. At the back left shoulder, it's scarlet. At the front left, it's blue. At the back right, it is blue. And then we have collie purple at the throat. So it's lilac, but it's also, I call it collie purple. So it's got like a hint of magenta to like a lavender. Like a dark lavender, medium lavender. And then at the front right and back left is black, but it's with a purple sheen. It's not black, black. That's black. And at the front left and then the back right, it's gray, but with a pearlescent sheen. This is not gray like my hat. And at the crown, it's white brilliance. Now we're going to put on the pants first. I'm going to start creating the path cords. So from the feet up to the hips, the citrine olive russet and black, we go up into the orange and emerald spheres, and then we plug in. And we can also plug those spheres from the hips into the sacral chakra, the violet chakra, or the yesod. Okay, from the hips, we're going to go into the heart. And the golden yellow. And we're going to also go from the pants, the bottom of the pants, the feet, to the yesod, so the zipper. Maybe you can do both of them at the same time. Maybe not. Okay, so from the shoulders to the hips, to the suspenders. And then we're gonna do the belt because we forgot that. And then we're gonna do the necklace. So from orange to emerald green to orange to emerald green to orange again, going clockwise. This is what kind of, one of my students hasn't talked to me in a while, but he has all these meditations and downloads. So as I grow and get like way more sophisticated, he can keep up and get on the same page real fast. That's because of all of these DNA waves. So he can download it into his form like really cleanly. We did a lot of them on the phone together week after week after week. Okay. And then from the shoulder to the shoulder to shoulder and necklace. Okay. For feeling solid. I feel one more. If anybody wants to know what I'm listening to, it's space travel music. Just to create that flow. Man, it's hard to do these meditations. Okay, from the heart to the shoulders. I don't even know if we did that on the last one, so make sure you do it on both of them. If you don't remember the colors, it's okay. It was deep purple and bright scarlet. And it was salmon, but they were switched. Just remember that. Yeah, I don't remember doing those. And try to get that angelite spray on the braids for the yetzirah self. So we're going to go from the shoulders to the temples, the scarlets to the blacks, and the blues to the grays. Oh. All right. Make sure those blues to grays are good. Scarlets to blacks. So we're going to be entering severe mental health. So when we get to the Gryffindor level egg DNA strand and we start with that briatic, we are now becoming the pillar for sanity on the planet. So if you had those cobra heads in Netsock, those initiations, they're now transmuted to like fire. So this is where the seraphim component comes in, or a hashmalim. As all those snakes are now divine fire, and now it's like emanating intelligence everywhere. It emanated intelligence even when you were Netsock and Slytherin, but it's just not as trustworthy. It's like guru, but it could be easily like icky guru. So when you hit Hufflepuff, that DNA transmutes into something divine. And then when you hit Gryffindor, like all the Slytherin is burned out. And now it's just divine fire. So seraphim means fiery serpents. So and then it's like with wings. So dragons, but like clean. So as we begin to, this briatic self starts to, where people, you'll sit in the bottom of hell, and where people would be like, I'm going to arrest you, even just in their thoughts, for like speaking truth. What it does is it rewrites that in their brain to go, no, in their lower self. I don't know how low. The goal is their lowest of low self, so then it's not even a conversation. But there's so much insanity on this planet, like just their physical lower self would be good enough. It's best when you at least get Aya. People think stupid shit. And the fact that they think it is gross. It's like they're so disconnected from reality and source and God. Like it's their thoughts are just demons because they're demons. This is the problem with the muggles on this planet and why they're not going to be ascending. And then all the Slytherins are going to be stuck in the muggle section. Because we ain't ascending. Like, that does not get power. Because they still have all the demonic thoughts. And then with a wand? No. So your thoughts in like all yourselves need to be at Tiferet or above. All right, so crisscross, and then we need the halo. So from the black to the gray, the black to the gray. Yeah, I'm feeling like a lot more calm and centered now. Hades is best dragon ever. Hades has done like 5 million pounds of karma gone in like a month on the planet and other places too. Hades saved everybody. Um, there's no way we would have cleaned out the hell pits that fast. Okay. We have like, Hades makes me excited to clean out some of the other dragons. Because like, and it's a fallacy, but it could be true. Like, is to look at what Hades did after I cleaned them and go, yeah, I need to start cleaning all my other all my other dragons. Maybe they'll start doing that amount of work too, and they'll do what they're needing to do. But what Hades did was just huge love. And still going. We've got some more Class A 5-star dragons coming up. Oh, that's good. But even Simon wakes up in the morning and goes, yeah. Like Hades did it. We're doing good. All right. So get from the halo, from the black to the gray, to the black to the gray, and then to the crown. The fire pyramid. Get that braided in. And then from the heart to the throat to the crown. It's hard for me to get back into meditation and this work after a month. But we start somewhere. And just make sure the shoulders of the temples are good. Feel like a wounded athlete trying to get back in. Feeling pretty good. Now make sure we got the crisscrosses from GEBURAH. So from the scarlets into the grays. So it's going to go across the front and then back to the side. And then the blues to the blacks. So we're going to cross, and then up to the side, up on the other side. I'm hearing right now, I have no friends right now because I'm just the boss. And that's kind of the reality, but there are a few people that consider me friends, and most of these people are like in this class. Man. But that I shouldn't be expecting other people to view me as a friend. That's a nice statement. if I don't expect it, I can just perform. All right, now okay. Hopefully I'm not a criminal boss. Okay, so that's briah. So let's make sure that we have the grape jelly all over that tree. And then the lava, or the lava honeycomb, maybe just the regular honeycomb, over each sphere. And then spray it with the angelite cords. Or the cords, spray with the angelite spray. And then make sure that the crown from your yetzirah self cords and anchors into the sacral, the yesod, and the malkuth of your briatic self. This is like myself wants the same thing. So if I want to defend myself, that my briatic self does it at the same time as my Asaya self. So I come whip smart, all of it one, instead of like schizo. I have this self and I have that self, that one, and that one. So it should anchor in at the calves, the thighs, and the sacral. Okay, so make sure that grape jelly and the honeycombs on each sphere, and then we throw in that Gryffindor blue seal, or if you're in Ravenclaw, that hot pink Ravenclaw pink. The pink keeps it femme. Just like the griffin blue is not the same as like a Ravenclaw, like Hesed blue. Like that griffin blue is better for like setting boundaries and seals than like a regular blue. Or is that Ravenclaw pink creates a sense of fire and like also anchors in a higher like intelligence with boundaries. So like think claws, and so it's like Ravenclaw instead. Okay. And then we're going to put in the honeycomb, the aloe honeycomb on the briatic egg. So when you get these meditations going, then you remember and you understand when we're writing, like every time somebody attacks this person's Wa self, Wa DNA, Wa egg, like we have the DNA we just gridded, and now we have the egg we're setting around it. And then there's the self that sits there before. So we're still at the 20,000 particle dimension instead of the one. So we're not at 248,832 yet. We're at 2736. I thought we might upgrade to like 248,832 maybe in the next. We'll see. We did with the lower worlds, but the next video will be Absolute, OA, Wa, and then the next yeah, because we're not going to color in Wa. All right, Collie Run out. Let that digest for probably a day.